I'm Diane Sears, and I'm the co-founder and co-chair of Go for the Greens. And I'd like to welcome you today to our next installment of our mentorship program online. We're very excited to have you here today. I'd like to introduce my co-founder and co-chair, Cindy Chase. And Cindy, would you like to say hello?
Hey, everybody. We're super excited about today's topic. This is something that we've had at Go for the Greens, both for the women business owners and now also for you young leaders of tomorrow. So remember, listen to everything that you have, that you're hearing. And also, I think, Diane, you're going to talk a little bit about the chat room. But this is a lot of great information, and look forward to hearing about the updates and the information for myself. So thank you.
Okay. So for those of you who are new to us, Go for the Greens is a nonprofit that's set up to help women and young women get ahead in life. We are all about 4 pillars. Our first pillar is about helping businesses grow. So women-owned businesses, we help them grow in what they do. Our second pillar is about sustainability, helping teach companies and people how to do green business. The third pillar is about golf. We teach people how to play golf. So a lot of women don't use golf yet as a business tool. The fourth pillar that we've added in recent years is all about mentorship, and that's why we're here today. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Now I'd like to introduce 2 of our let's see, where are you on the screen? 2 of our interviewers who've been with us. These are the young ladies who've been conducting all the interviews. Let me just pause for 1 minute. Cindy, it looks like you are on the screen and nothing else is going to be showing on the video, and I'm not sure why. So what's sure what to do about that? Oh, well, anyway. So Jasmine, if you can say hello to us, take yourself off mute. Okay. And Jasmine, tell us who you are and where you go to school.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine, and I'm currently a marketing student at the University of Texas at Dallas. And I'm super happy for today's presentation. I absolutely loved their presentation at last year's conference. I'm super excited that you guys get to see it today.
Thank you very much. And now, Leslie, if you can take yourself off mute and tell us who you are and where you go to school.
Hi everyone, so my name is Leslie Garcia-Medina and I am currently a junior at Harmony Science Academy in Dallas. Like Jasmine said, we're super excited to be viewing your presentation today. We saw you guys at, I believe it was our first year for Go for the Greens, and we look forward to learning more about what it is that you guys do.
Okay, and that's a great time for me to do kind of an infomercial. Go for the Greens puts on a conference every September at Walt Disney World, and one day is dedicated to the mentorship program. We bring people in from all over the country and sometimes from Canada too. Some of our young ladies have come in. So we usually have room for about 35 to 45 young women to go through the program. It's absolutely free. You just have to get yourself to Orlando. So, and we do have some scholarships available. So if anyone's interested, let us know. With that, I'd like to turn to our 2 presenters. So Lena Graham-Morris, why don't you tell us about yourself, who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Well, happy Thursday. I am Lena Graham-Morris. I am currently the Vice President of Horace Construction Services. And so I basically run 6 offices and 50 plus employees. I'm in a succession plan to take over. It is a 3rd generation family business, so no pressure there. That is what I do during the day for my secular career, but I also am very involved in the community, and I sit on several boards, including the Dress for Success board, which brings me to you today, along with my colleague, Victoria Brantley, to give the presentation. So I bring greetings on behalf of our president, Renita Hunt, And I'll also turn it over to Miss Victoria Brantley to introduce herself.
Hi, girls. Hi, princesses. Hi, queens. Good evening, good afternoon, and happy Thursday. I know I was with you all for your last conference. I really wish I could see your beautiful faces as I had an amazing time with you girls. But tonight I come before you again as with Dress for Success. I started as a client. As you remember, I was giving you a little synopsis of my story. I came in as a client, today sitting on the board. Currently, I have a lot going on. I just recently launched my new lip gloss line called the Princess Collection, sold out in 2 days in the midst of all this pandemic. How amazing is that? Thank you, thank you, thank you. But with that being said, so I have an organization called Crown and Cupcakes, recently birthed after I was Miss Orlando, Florida. I wanted to do something where I was continue on giving back to the young girls. So my mentoring program is currently in 3 schools, virtual right now though. And I mentor over 50 girls a week, all virtual. I was still able to keep in contact with them and with the mentoring program. And yeah, so it's been busy.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. I am so excited about this program. And with that, I'm going to pop off the screen and leave it to Lena and Victoria to present. And then you'll see Jasmine and Leslie later. So thanks, everyone.
Wonderful. Victoria, is the screen up yet? The PowerPoint? Okay, wonderful.
Yes,
so Victoria and I, we did a discovery session, and we wanted to make sure that we brought you information that was relevant during this uncertain time, and also information that you could take with you as you continue your journey through the year. So what we came up with that we wanted to share with you is 3 topics. And one is wonderful from the waist up, and then blazers for success, and then virtual interviews. And so we're going to tag team wonderful from the waist up. As you can imagine, that means how can you be fabulous from your waist up? Because we are doing so many Zoom meetings as we are here today. And we want to make sure that we are still telling the story and have our personal brand that's solid during this time. And so Victoria, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about the quarter flow and go over the first 3 pieces of this.
Sure thing. So the quarter flow is the blazer, the blouse, and the color construct, and the jewelry and the makeup. So you always want to make sure, ladies, that when you walk into an interview, or even if it's an internship interview, let's just start there. Let's just start with the intern interview. You always want, or even a virtual interview, because right now, being that we're in the midst of the pandemic, you want to make sure that when you are doing a virtual interview, or once we come out of it, and you're doing a face-to-face interview, you want to make sure that you're well put together. You want to make sure that the face, your makeup, it is definitely it's well put together. That, you know, what we say doing the most, you want to make sure that the your skin tone and the makeup. I'll even give you a freebie. MAC, they're amazing with doing free consultations. You can definitely go there, and they'll give you a free consultation just so that you can get familiar with makeup. When it comes down to the wardrobe, you want to make sure that you are picking colors that look amazing with your skin tone. Dress for Success, we are a global organization, so I'm almost for certain that you can definitely find you a Dress for Success right in your hometown. We are an organization where we give free services. So you want to make sure that when it comes to the actual wardrobe, that you are picking colors that look good with your skin tone. You want to make sure that your accessories are complementing your skin tones as well. And you want to stick to different accessories when it comes down to the metals and the actual beading. When it comes to the accessories, that all that is well put together as well. And then most importantly, practice putting everything together the day prior, the night prior. Preparation is key, right? So we want to make sure that when you're putting everything together, again, laying all your stuff out the night before, making sure everything is put together. And then you want to make sure that you keep in mind the importance of looking together from head to toe. So with the hairdo, your makeup, your blazer or your suiting, and your shoes, that everything is coming together and it's flowing.
So Victoria, if I could piggyback off of you. So ladies, I spent 7 years running my own wardrobe studio. I worked for a TV station. I had my own TV show. And so when I transitioned back into corporate America, I had to bridge some of the gaps. And so one thing that was helpful for me is I used my stylist skills to put together and plan out my outfits for the week. So I would literally look at my schedule and review my schedule and decide what type of look I needed. And so for me, I came up with 3 or 4 looks, right? So I came up with what I called the power broker suit, which is even if you're from the waist up, you still have your blazer and your blouse, which Victoria is going to go into more about that in our next segment. And then there's a more business casual, which may not be as formal as a tailored blazer. And then I have where I like a sports look or, the yoga look or a bohemian look. So those were particularly my 4 looks. And I would actually, based on my calendar and what I was doing for the day, have those looks put together at the beginning of the week. So all I'm doing is pulling, because part of the piece that can fluster us at sometimes is when we're trying to move and get everything done. And then we're still trying to make decisions on, okay, have you ever had in your mind what you want to wear and it's like it's not there in the closet. You end up spending 20, 30 minutes looking for something and you have to walk away. So when you plan and prepare, like Victoria spoke about, you can eliminate that and make sure that you are hitting your goal, your target for your personal brand every time you get in front of the camera or get in front of someone. And to piggyback also off of what Victoria is saying, specifically when we talk about makeup. So in my other life, I will tell you, I was also a makeup artist with my wardrobe studio. This is real. I'm not making this up. I worked for Oxygen, Nickelodeon, large TV stations. And so some of the tips that you can take away for doing your makeup for video is always prepping your skin. And as you get more older and more mature. So, when I was younger, I used to kid, I don't need to do that. I don't need to prep my skin. You want to start prepping your skin now, because it literally sometimes takes 10 years for the abuse that you give your skin to catch up with you, right? So always prep and take care of your skin as you're getting ready to maybe put on your makeup look for video. If get the right foundation. So if you're doing a lot of Zoom meetings and webinars, just have your foundation picked out where it's just easy for you to apply. Like Victoria said, you can go to MAC and and I'm literally not making this up. I used to work for MAC, so I know this. So you can go to MAC, you can sit down, you can get everything done for you. So if you need concealer, you may not need concealer. If you need concealer, have your concealer. If you are doing back-to-back video conferencing during the day, one of the things that I do now, sometimes I have to blot, because to get appropriate lighting, you can get a little bit kind of sweaty. So you may need some powder where you blot off, and you can keep that with you so you avoid a shine, right? Also, make sure that you either draw attention to your lips or your eyes. So you can see Victoria and I are playing off each other. I am a big lip person. I love bold lips, and Victoria always does a beautiful job with her eyes. So it's kind of a unspoken makeup rule that you accentuate one or the other, right? So decide, it's okay to do that. Just decide which one that you're going to do. And don't be afraid of using blush, but for video, stay away from the shimmer. I love shimmer too, but it just doesn't translate as well as it should on video because it reflects light. And then the last one is just that the matte is better than the shimmer. So our next section that I'm going to turn it back over to my colleague, she's going to talk to you about blazers for success and really go over some cool tips on making an impression with a blazer.
Yes, yes, yes. As our amazing president would say, a blazer is a staple piece, which means, there I am. So you always want to make, sorry. You always want to make sure that when you put on this blazer, that number one, it fits your body. So as you can see there in our amazing presentation, I have short arms. Some days are short, some days are long. It just all depends on how I'm carrying my weight. But I like to cuff my blazer wrist because it just gives me that more confident, that more tailored look. So a lot of times when we find blazers, we find the perfect fitting blazer. You want to, and it's your discretion, again, as someone had asked, how do you know what colors complement your skin? You want to play around and then just find what blazers, they have different cut blazers. So this blazer here is a blazer that I got, I believe, from New York & Company. You want to make sure that the blazer fits you perfectly. Now, a lot of times, if you're busty like myself, you can always get it let out just a little bit. I get mine let out just because I like that tailored, perfect fit. But more or less, going back to the tactics at hand, you want to make sure that you find that tailor, that blazer that fits your body type. So on you, as you see here on this, in this picture, this demonstration here, that I have it open. Again, it's your discretion, but depending on how I am carrying my weight that day, I'll wear it open. Sometimes I may wear it closed, and we'll show you once we get to the next slide there. But in this picture here, I just have it open. So going forward, again, it's your discretion. I have that, this next slide here, you're seeing that the blazer is actually closed. And we just wanted to give you different options on how you can wear your blazer. Again, you want to make sure that when you walk into this interview, you are confident. So we accessorize it with a scarf. So I don't know your location. I'm sure we're from all around the world. In Florida, we experience maybe a good 2 seasons. Wherever you are, you may experience all 4 seasons. So again, you want to make sure that when you accessorize it with a brooch or with a scarf, that you are accessorizing it according to your seasons, okay? Okay, so going back to what I was saying, let me just move this out of the way. You want to make sure that you find your fit, explore different labels, add a variety, and you want to play, just play. I suggest that you play, you play, you play. Listen, getting ready for your interview, it's just all about playing around, like playing dress up when we were a little girl. So you want to make sure that you play around with your portions, because again, everybody has different body types. My blazer cut might not look good on your cut. So you have to just find what best fits your body type.
And again, Victoria, just to piggyback off of that, we cannot, as we talked about as we're preparing for this, we can't reiterate enough that your blazer should be fitted but not tight across the shoulders, right? And we want to share this with you because these are things that if I could go back and tell my 20-year-old self, I would have loved for my mentor to tell me, right? Your blazer should be fitted but not too tight in the shoulders. The hem of your blazer should skim your hip bone. And ladies, I want to be transparent and vulnerable with you. This blazer situation is so important because when you start to go out and have executive meetings, you will see that other executives, they have their blazers tailored. So if you are in meetings and you're shaking hands and your blazer is not tailored or it's too long or so forth, you'll find yourself maybe being apprehensive or so forth. I have, when I was younger, I have experienced that. So this is why we see our clients experience this. So this is why we are being so transparent with you. The sleeves of your blazer should hit mid-thumb when your arms are down at your sides. Very important. Get a seamstress or someone who does alterations so that you can continually have your blazers updated. And going off what Victoria was talking about, buttoning or unbuttoning, you can make that decision, but if you're buttoning, you should not be pulling. Your blazer should not be pulling, right? It should be a nice fit and just settle right on your waist and hips. If you're between sizes, because as Victoria mentioned, we're women, we're being open with each other. If you're between sizes, go up, because it's easier to have an alteration done smaller than it is if you invest in a blazer and it's too small. Now, to conclude our talk for today, we wanted to go past just talking about the dressing for success and the clothing, because what we've seen in our influx of clients is just a roundabout questions about how to be effective with doing virtual interviews. And that can, again, translate in any type of virtual situation. So we want to give you 9 tips for maybe mastering your next virtual interview. So number 1 is test your technology. How many times have we gotten in a situation and our volume isn't working, or our computer crashes, or so forth? It's so critical that before we get in a situation where we're putting our best foot forward, we test our technology. The next thing is we want to set the scene and minimize distractions. Just think about having control of your situation. If you're going to be entering into a virtual interview, you want to make sure that your distractions are minimum and you're setting the scene so that the person who's on the other end can be concentrating on you and not what's going on around you. You want to sit down and be prepared. Victoria reiterated that in her portion. We can't say it enough. Be prepared, be prepared. Practice, but don't memorize. Find someone, your mentor, who you can do some role play with, who you can go through a mock interview, who you can log in and make sure that you're comfortable with technology and you're comfortable with the questions. Monitor your body language. A lot of times we don't realize how our movements come across. If we're wanting to put our best foot forward and going after that job, or following up with that college application or internship, you want to make sure that you're putting off the correct message. And so you want to monitor your body language. And so maybe you do some tests with your mentor or yourself. It's okay to go into Zoom and get a free account and log in by yourself and record it so that you can go back and see what your movements look like. We were having the conversation before we came on, and we were talking about it's so hard to interpret sometimes over video what someone is saying or how they're feeling. So we're already dealing with that. That's a sensitive situation. So make sure you're mastering your body language. Dress the part. Like Victoria has talked about earlier, like you heard when you saw her speak last year, like this presentation has set forth for you. Dress the part. What is your personal brand? What is the message that you want to give someone? How do you let them know that you are serious about this opportunity and it's yours and you mean business? Make a connection. I know that it's hard through video, but find a way to connect. Find a way to create that banter, make that you're comfortable with, so that you can have that connection with them. People can tell if you're connected or you're not connected. Be yourself. Victoria and I actually were just on a call before this, talking to her wonderful young ladies in her program. And Thank you. Victoria?
Yes, so it was amazing. Yes.
Be yourself. We have so much power as women. You have so much power within you. Harness that power and be yourself and genuine. People can feel that, and it can come across regardless if you're in person or on a virtual interview. And if you're doing a virtual interview or for an internship or whatever the case, make sure that you immediately follow up. It's okay to let the person know that you are interested. And I'm speaking as someone who interviews folks all the time. You really make yourself stand out when you follow up, because leaders will be busy. When you see the leaders of your leaders for Go for the Greens, they are extremely busy. And I'm sure that you've had the occasion to see when you've gone that extra mile to follow up with them. It may not have been that they didn't want to get back with you, but there's so many things going on. So don't be afraid to immediately follow up and show how interested you are. So, Victoria, did you want to add anything on?
Absolutely. I want to piggyback off of the portion or the bullet point when you said be yourself. One thing about employers when you go in for the, whether it be, you know, we're talking about virtual, so let's just stay here. But when you're doing a virtual interview, I love when she said connect. You have got to find your connection, because they're going to be able to know, oh my gosh, she's nervous, or oh my gosh, she's we're just not connecting. And if you can't connect right now, you may have a hard time connecting in person. So you have to, like Ms. Lena said, you may have to create a Zoom account, Zoom with your friends. Listen, we're going to talk about mock interview, and I don't want to go too far ahead of where I am, but practice, practice, practice. And we all know that one thing about practice, it makes what? Perfect. So you want to make sure that you practice. Preparation is key. These bullet points are just putting yourself up, and it's preparing you to prepare yourself so that when you have that virtual interview, that you execute it at the end of the day.
Awesome, Victoria. So, you know, to close out about the virtual interviews, here are 6 items, which I'm breaking some of the rules myself today. And I'm a rule breaker, but this is what is suggested, okay? So avoid white, because white washes you out. And so we talked with, Victoria talked earlier about your color palette, right? So, you know, it's the same with makeup. You're either cool, warm, or neutral. And those tones, if you're more red or pink, you're warm. If you're more olive, then you're cool. And if you're just equal across the board, you'll just be neutral, which is kind of neutralizes everything out. So find what your color palettes are, and don't do so much white. Use those colors to contrast you. If you know anything about the color wheel, you will know that contrasting colors really pop. And so the easiest way to remember that, when I was in my makeup world, I'll tell you 2 ways that you can remember. So the example is the gators, right? So orange and blue contrast on the color wheel, but they look so good together because of that contrast, right? And the other color is Christmas, green and red. They contrast on the color wheel. And then violets and yellow base, they contrast on the color wheel. So when you talk about contrasting colors, if you really want to make a statement, go in and use those bold colors. If you're sitting in an area, draw the shade so you can really not cause the sun. So I didn't draw mine totally, so you see the glare on the back. That's what it does. So that's why it's telling you to draw the shades. Silence your phone. So if you're on the interview, you want to make sure your phone is on silent. Avoid distracting jewelry. I will break that all the time. I'm just going to tell you, I'm sorry. I'm an accessory lady, but you should, on a virtual interview, you probably want to streamline maybe just a 1 string of pearls. But I'm a lady who loves accessories. That's my personal brand, but it is recommended that you avoid distracting jewelry. And so know your audience, we talked about that. So don't be afraid to do research. If I'm going to have an interview with Victoria, there's nothing wrong with me going on LinkedIn and reading about Victoria and knowing that she's on the Dress for Success board. And when I get in an interview with her, you know, saying something like that to engage her, and pay attention to your background. So it's recommended to not do what I have, which is have a whole bunch behind you, but I do. So I'm breaking that rule as well, but it is not recommended. I have to give that disclaimer. Victoria, do you have anything that you want to add?
I'm breaking it too. I'm breaking all the rules. I'm sorry.
So we just wanted to give you that insight, just a little extra more than just the dressing, because we just feel like it is so critical. We've seen it with our clients. Do you want to speak, Victoria, very briefly about the trend we've seen with our clients of why we thought this was so important?
Absolutely. So I love communities. Community is my heart. And when I go into the boutique to just, you know, give my time, it's almost like it's almost like an amazing shopping experience. So what we do is we kind of allow the client to see what they think. I love the question someone had asked, how do you know your colors? So what we do is we allow the client to just kind of see where they are. What colors you feel. We let them pick out colors, and then we let them try their colors on, and then they're like, oh wow, this is really too bright for my skin tone. Then that's when we step in and we say, okay, listen, this is why you don't wear hot pink to an interview, and this is why you don't wear yellow, because those are colors that's going to attract so much attention. So back to the question that is at hand, you want to make sure, what we do is we want to make sure that when you leave that boutique or when you leave from with us, our goal tonight is when you leave from with us, that you leave out knowing that you are going to get that job, whether it be in person or virtual. So yeah, that's what we do.
And Victoria is amazing at assisting individuals. We also have stylists that are on hand at the boutique and personal shoppers. It is a passion of mine that we're able to express ourselves through our personal brand and through our clothing. I have all types of stories that I can tell you, but one thing that I'll leave you is, as I transitioned from a very eccentric industry into a very conservative industry, I had to learn how to compromise without losing my personal brand. And so it's all about making those statements. And so, for instance, I went from an industry of fashion to construction. As you can imagine, that was a culture shock for me and everyone around me. And so there are certain things that I had to decide. I had to decide, I'm not giving up my hair. I'm not giving up my nails. I'm not giving up my lips, but I will put my blazers on. I will put on my power suits, because I know when I walk in the room, I want to command the attention of a majority male-dominated industry. And so just like Victoria's had to make the changes, updates, and I've had to make changes, updates, we just want to have this conversation with you because we see how our clients are affected, and we want you to be successful as well. And before we go into questions, I just would be remiss if I did not tell you, you can always reach us online at greaterorlando.dressforsuccess.org. And you can always get involved with us through volunteering or donating. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that we can go into opportunity to answer any questions for you.
Hi again. I want to say thank you so much for all those tips. I feel for me, I greatly resonated with the last portion of tips for the virtual interviews, especially because now I feel that with this whole pandemic situation, we were pushed into doing everything virtually way too fast with no preparation. And for Leslie and I, especially with doing these interviews, I was looking at the 9 tips, and I took a picture of literally everything. But I was looking at the 9 tips, and then the recommendations after that. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been doing everything wrong. But for our first question, I want to go back to the makeup, and I want to ask, is it okay to go natural to interviews, in person and virtual interviews?
So it's absolutely okay. I think that you should, number one, be comfortable with whatever you're doing. But I will stress this, you always want to be well-groomed. And so, even though you're natural, you can still have your brows groomed. You can still use clear gel. You can make sure that you're hydrated. You don't, that your lips are hydrated. So even if you're not using a color on your lips, and, good hygiene always, which that we expect to do that, but unfortunately, Victoria will tell you, we do have to tell some of our clients that. So yes, you can go natural. Victoria may piggyback off of this. I think you need to be confident in the skin you're in. So if whatever makes you confident, that's what you need to do, because the goal is to nail it, right? So that's why I said, I'm going to wear my bold lipstick because that's what makes me comfortable. For someone else, it may be bare lips, but I think the biggest thing is just to be comfortable in the skin you're in, because that translates in everything that you do, that confidence and that comfort level.
Absolutely. I'll piggyback off of what Ms. Lena stated. This morning, I knew I had a busy day in the Zoom virtual world. So when I got up, I immediately prepared myself. Once I got my coffee going and I, brushed my teeth and all that stuff, drew my eyebrows on, made sure they were straight. I cleaned up because I'm a stickler. I know, I'm sorry. But I cleaned up because I know for me, I just feel so much better if the floors are mopped. I feel better if it's dust. I feel better knowing that I'm in a very clean environment. And then I know this is a little over the top, but literally I just wanted to make sure that when I came on with you girls, as you remember the last time, I'm just a bubbly individual. I wanted to make sure that my area was very me, it was Victoria. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're just comfortable. Most importantly, be yourself, because the employer on the other end, they're going to be like, wow, if she's like this here, how is she going to be when she gets in front of me? Remember, you are going to sell the product. So you have to make sure that you are you much as possible. So I cleaned up, I dust, I made sure that my eyebrows were on evenly, right? And listen, just be you, love you, because being you and loving you is what's going to get you that job. Sorry, Ms. Lena.
So thank you so much.
Listen, don't sorry me, Victoria. I wouldn't trade you for the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Personally, for me, I haven't learned how to do my makeup. So when I go to job fairs and all that, I see everyone like painted. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm way behind. I need to start learning. And in high school, I know a lot of young girls haven't started learning either, but they're preparing to start doing all these interviews for internships. So I feel like I really need to ask that. And I believe Leslie also has a question in regards to that first segment.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for all that. Like Jasmine, I took pictures of every single slide, and I think that it's very amazing that there's still people out there who are reminding young women that it's okay to be yourself. Something that I learned in the very first conference is that I need to stop apologizing for being who I am. And so I think that it's a big, not only is it a big responsibility, but it's a huge inspiration to see that there are people out there who are, you know, striving for that movement to inspire girls to be who they are and to be comfortable in their own body. So I think that's very amazing of you guys. So thank you. And our second question is when it comes to bottoms, so what's more recommended, skirts or dress pants?
I can answer that. So again, you want to make sure that you wear what makes you feel comfortable. Okay. So I have a background of criminal justice. I taught in the correctional facility for a little under 10 years. And what I used to tell my students, and I hated to refer them to inmates, but what I used to teach my students was picture yourself in an interview and you have on a very large pair of shoes. How you feeling is going to reflect in that interview. So you want to make sure that if you wear a two-piece suit with a skirt or whether it be pants, you want to make sure that number one, it looks good on your body. And number two, you feel so confident that whether it be virtual or in person, that they can feel your energy. Because one thing about energy, it is so strong. Like I have a very strong aura, and I know that you girls can feel my energy through, even though we are virtual, I know you can feel my energy because guess what? I can feel my energy, right? So you want to make sure that your energy level is so high that they feel your energy. Because if you feel uncomfortable, they're going to feel it. If you feel overly confident, they're going to feel it. And guess what? They rather have the overly confident you than the unconfident you.
And if I can, Victoria, I want to jump in too. So I have always been plus size for the majority of my life. And, you know, there were times when people would make you feel awkward trying to find things. So shame on them, shame on that. I want to tell you that find a quality blazer, and whether it's a skirt or a bottom, and get it tailored. I don't care if you start with one suit. It makes such a difference because you can change out, as you saw Victoria with her blouse and her scarf, you can change out. So going back to what Victoria said, first of all, which one makes you feel that you're walking in the room and you're rocking it and it's yours? You go with that, and then get a quality one that you get tailored to yourself. So when you put it on, it feels like a glove. You feel like money when you're walking in. Start with just one, and you can, like I said, rotate out the accessories and the blouses. And I just want to just share that because it makes so much of a difference. Then, you know, even some people try to take and go get like 10 suits. If you get that one that fits like a glove and you get it altered, it's amazing. And then from there, you progress and get another one to share.
Thank you for that. So Miss Patty, I believe this kind of goes in what we were talking about. She said, can you talk about what to wear if you're interviewing with a company like Facebook that is so casual?
So again, you want to be dressed waist up and you want to look amazing. Even though I am literally dressed from head to toe, they're not going to see what's, you know, they're not going to see the bottom, but you still want to make sure that you are literally dressed. Every single day, myself and Miss Lena, we get dressed from head to toe as if we're in the office. Because listen, they're going to know if you're off. They're going to know if you skip the beat. So listen, don't skip a beat. Just continue doing what you've already been doing. But back to the question that's at hand, you want to make sure. Me personally, I love going above and beyond the call of duty. So I just get dressed from head to toe. Just
I'm
to
gonna
play
have
it
to
safe.
go with Victoria on that. An interview is an interview, and I think you show. So even if it's casual going forward, it doesn't hurt to throw that blazer on or just a blouse on to give just make it crisp and formal to show that you're taking your interview seriously, because first impressions is a lasting impression.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask a question that I got in the chat from Sydney, and it was any tips for fashion emergency mishaps in person meetings? Example, ketchup on slacks like at a luncheon.
Okay, so that is me. I cannot go to any luncheon without spilling something on. So that goes back to number one, where I tell you I'm prepared. If I know I'm going out somewhere, I tend to wear darker, something that's darker or has patterns where a spill can get very easily confused in the patterns. Number two, I do not leave my home without the shout wipes or a Tide pen, because I already know that I'm going to spill, although I try not to, that probably I'm going to spill something on myself. And so if you know that may happen, either one, prepare, right? So if you have on something darker or something with patterns, you don't have to worry about it as much. Number two, keep your Tide pen and your shout with you. So even if you have to, that happens, you have to excuse yourself to the bathroom and kind of wipe it out. And the third thing that I do is I always keep a backup in my car. And that goes to, again, about being prepared, because if we're prepared, we can keep control of the situation, right? There's so many things that we can't control, but anything that's within our control, if we can prepare for it, then it just makes life a little bit easier. So those are my suggestions. I don't know if you have additional, Victoria.
I have not. Well, I wear dark colors a lot when I'm out, and maybe a flower or floor, you know, something with print under. But definitely what Ms. Lena said, I do not want to take away from that. You always want to make sure that you are prepared. Because I like to eat. I like to eat. Okay. I'm that one that goes for seconds. I like to eat. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for those answers. Personally, for me, I'm the type of person to like, nothing's gonna happen, but it ends up happening anyways. But to sort of jump off that question, I want to ask, if you guys have any stories of any fashion faux pas, and how did you guys sort of overcome that moment?
There's always a fashion pas. Okay. So I carry a sewing kit with me. I carry extra shoes. So I have had it from a heel breaking, and like this did not really happen. Like I'm walking to a conference and my heel broke. I've had it to where I've ripped a skirt and had to go into the bathroom and sew the skirt. The spillage, where I've rubbed up against a car and then I have a black streak on my skirt as I'm walking somewhere. So, you know, I could give you a list for days. Again, I go back to just being prepared. I carry a sewing kit with me. I carry an extra blazer. So I do a lot of blazers, like a dress or bottoms. So, and I keep extra earrings with me, right? I keep all of that in my little kit, because again, and that might be the wardrobe stylist coming out of me, right? I keep little lint pads, all of that, because you never know what can happen. And again, we already have enough pressure as women. We have to be fabulous. So that's my philosophy. So anything that takes away from that happening, anything that I can have with me in my bag or close to my person, I'm going to have it because I speak a lot and I travel a lot, and I'm always in meetings with, again, predominantly males who don't have those type of problems that we have and wouldn't understand. So I don't want to take away from anything that I'm doing because, okay, I've ripped this or, you know, I've smudged this or whatever the case. Again, for me, the point is not that if they happen, they will happen, but just to be prepared. I carry an extra pair of shoes. So I actually, for every outfit that I have a shoe bag. I have flats, flip-flops because we're in Florida, and I keep an extra pair of heels in my car. And I will, true story, before I give it to Victoria, true story. I went to Bahama Breeze with the client, and somehow, because their car was low, I got in the car and my shoe must have fallen off. So when I get back to the office, there's only one shoe. I cannot make this up. This is not made up. So I'm freaking out. I'm calling my assistant, and we're going back. We call Bahama Breeze. We go back to Bahama Breeze. I find my shoe in the parking lot, run over. It was a brand new shoe, run over. And thank God I had an extra pair of shoes in my car. Like, I couldn't believe it. This is a real story. Like, we had to go back to the restaurant. And so the shoe was just like a little bit too large on me. So when I got in his car, it was low, and it must have, I don't even know, it just must have fallen off. And I didn't realize until I got back. So again, it's not about if it will happen, they will happen. So just being prepared, I think is one of the keys.
I so agree with that. It wasn't until we were in the pandemic where I actually went to my car to grab some paperwork, and I did not realize how many blazers and pair of shoes I had in my trunk for being prepared. Because there's been times, like Ms. Lena stated, I've had 5 events in one day, and heel broke, shirt stained or something. So I said, you know what, going forward, I'll just make sure that I'll bring an additional blazer and I'll bring an additional pair of shoes. Well, guess what? That stuff added up. Looked in my trunk and I had a plethora of blazers and shoes. But listen, it's better to be prepared than not be prepared. So if you could take anything away from that, just always make sure that you are prepared. As you are ironing your clothes for your actual interview, it doesn't hurt to take another blazer with you, or another pair of shoes with you, just to have it, just because. You always want to have the mindset of just because or just in case.
Thank you. I never think of being prepared because, like I said before, I'm like, oh, it'll never happen. But like you guys said, it will happen. But I want to mention a comment that was posted by Miss Patty, and she posted, "I lost an earring back one time, and a friend gave me an eraser for her pencil, from her pencil." And I believe, Leslie, you have one last question because I do think we're almost out of time.
I was muted, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah, so I wanted to, about being prepared. For me, I'm a worship leader at my church. And so a lot of the times we get invited to sing to different places, whether it be places that are like an hour away or sometimes even like 4 hours away. And there was this one time where like I'm very clumsy, and so we went out to eat after the first service, and I had Dr. Pepper that day, and I spilled it on my shirt, and it was white, and so I was nowhere near my house, and I couldn't change. We still had one more service to go, and so I ended up having to drive to somebody else's house to kind of borrow a shirt and fix that up. So I think being prepared is definitely something that we all need to remember. But that leads to my question. How do you dress in a way that you don't allow your personal convictions to interfere?
That's a good question. Ms. Lena, you want to take that and I'll piggyback off you, or you want me to take it and how do you want to do that?
You can go ahead. I'll piggyback off of you.
Okay, that was a good question. I'll say this, and you can relate. You're a praise and worship leader at your church, right? If you would not wear it to church, I would not wear it to, if you wouldn't wear it to church, I wouldn't wear it to an interview. That is my conviction. So one thing about me, I do not wear a lot of shirts with lettering on it because I'm not going to wear it to church, because I don't want to make anyone feel any kind of way. Especially if you're in a virtual interview or a in-person interview, you always want to make sure, listen, a man is going to be a man. I'm going to just be honest. Can I just be myself for a second? So you want to make sure that, number one, if the cleavage is low and it makes you feel, the moment you put that top on and you feel convicted, take it off. Just take it off. You always want to be safe than sorry, because I'm just going to be honest. A man is a man and a female is a female. So if you feel convicted the moment you put it on, I would just take it off, because that's your inner being telling you, listen, just take it off. And so my inner conviction always holds me accountable.
So my rule of thumb is I don't wear anything that would make my father uncomfortable. And I work with him a lot, so that's very easy. So if I know that it's going to make him stutter or feel uncomfortable, I think about it, because that's for me. And except if it's like a night, my only exception is if it's like a night on the town and it's some type of gown. That's like my only exception. But for the most part, every time I put something on, I think about, if I was standing with my father for the day, would he be okay? Or there have been 1 or 2 times when I was younger and he was like, do you need a safety pin? I don't want to have those moments. So that's what helps. That kind of pulls, he's my conscience on my shoulder.
I'm sorry. There was one question that Diane wanted me to ask. And she said, do you have any tips for creating your own signature style?
Absolutely. I love that question. I asked my sister this morning, I was like, how do you like this? She said, that is just too much. Perfect answer. If it's too much, that's my key. I'm doing the right thing, because I have my own style. I do not like looking like other people. So the moment I asked her, how does this look? She said, that is just too much. Take it off. I'm heading in the right direction. Create your own look, because that is you. Okay. So if I had on just maybe, I don't know, something just simple, then I just don't feel like myself. But I personally, if I could, let me just say this. If I could, I would wear a tutu every day of the week. If I could get away with it, I would, because it's me. It's me. I embrace me. So you have to, again, going back to when we had the PowerPoint up, you have to play with colors. You have to find your body, discover your body type, discover what looks good, what doesn't look good. And the moment you find what complements your body type, you're in heaven. That's it. The gods and the gates are going to open up, and whatever you put on is going to work in your favor, because you've taken the time out to find out what colors look good on you, what your body type is, what cuts, and all that good stuff. Find it, play with it.
So I'm cheating a little bit on this because of my stylist background, but what I would tell you is what I would do with my clients. So I would do a few different exercises with my clients. Number one, I would tell them to tell me who is a celebrity that they love their look, right? And then we would start creating an inspiration board or a storyboard. And then we delve into personality, because I think your personal brand needs to also be around your personality, because you have to be comfortable with your brand, right? Because you're wearing it all the time. And so I use different exercises like that so that we could come together. I think that I want to communicate this to you. And it was a big thing that happened to me, an aha moment, when I worked at the Mac store. It's okay for us to want to be intentionally fabulous, right? So sometimes we kind of shy away and say, I don't want to be vain. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be that. It's okay to be intentional about being fabulous, if that's what you want to do. And it's okay to be intentional about being comfortable in your skin. And so I think that's the first thing that I would tell you. And then the second piece, just like I would do with my stylist clients, what is a style that you see, that you love, that you might even feel like you couldn't attain, right? That you couldn't even, you might not even be able to find a piece like that, or you might not be able to carry off that style. And then the personality analysis, and then looking at the body types, because all of that put together can help you create your personal brand. Because again, at the end of the day, your personal brand needs to be a reflection of who you are, and it needs to make you stand tall and feel good every time you enter the room.
Great advice. Thank you, ladies. I would just, if we were live, I would ask for applause for you. We really enjoyed it, didn't we, Cindy? So thank you so much. This will be posted on our YouTube channel. So we will have the recording ready pretty soon. I want to thank Lena and Victoria for being our presenters. Thank you very much. I want to thank Jasmine and Leslie for being such great interviewers and coming up with some fabulous questions. And I want to thank the audience too, because you all were sharing with us, and that was really fun. And Cindy, what would you like to say to close us out?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again. And Victoria, that scares me. If I ever told Diane that I would wear a tutu, you all would like fall over. So thank you for sharing that. That was a very intimate thing. So and when you come to go for the greens in the future, I want to see you in a tutu.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Yes.
I have a visual, and if you guys have a visual with me in a tutu, it's a wrong visual. So thank you for sharing that. So listen, thank you. This was a great, another great webinar. Really appreciate it. I wrote a lot of notes because, I'm retired and looking for things to do for my future. I haven't quite figured it out. And once again, Leslie and Jasmine, you two are rock stars, and you get better every day with this interview process. So thank you. And we'll see everybody next week for our interview and our webinar on Thursday at 5 p.m. So thank you.
Thank you all. I wanted to ask, do you have